Yutaka Ozaki may be among the most influential musicians in Japan's recent history. A gifted young songwriter who rose to popularity during a time when the upstanding yet aggressively manufactured idol dominated the entire entertainment industry. Even today, Ozaki is beloved and respected, ranking 23rd on a poll of Japan's top 100 musicians of all time. His songs have been covered by an abundance of other prominent artists over the years, from Japan and beyond. Debuting at only 17 years old, Ozaki was raw and distinct. An artist who spoke to nostalgia, heartache, and rebellion. An artist who left as quickly as he had appeared. Only active for a total of 9 years between 1983 and 1992. His impressive musical career cut short over the span of one single night in the spring of 1992. A night shrouded with mystery and copious speculation. This is the tragedy of Yutaka Ozaki, a 30-year mystery. Before we explore this topic, I would first like to thank this video's sponsor, italki. It's no secret that I have an active interest in Japanese language and culture, and I do get a lot of messages asking me about how I learned the language. Among the biggest pieces of advice I can give is to engage with others and apply what you're learning firsthand. I'm learning Japanese with italki.
私は大学生です。そして私の副専攻は日本語です。はい、私の専攻はコミュニケーションこと、減らすことを考えています。
はい、いいですね。
はい、ありがとう。
At italki, you can take one-on-one language lessons with high-quality native-speaking teachers. It's a perfect platform to be fully engaged when learning Japanese and to also be sure you're speaking it correctly. If you don't have an open schedule, there's no need to worry. Classes and tutors are booked per lesson, priced from $5. You pay per lesson, no subscription, and no commitment. Heck, if you like Japanese stuff but don't want to learn Japanese, italki has you covered. Say you want to learn Korean or even French. italki offers classes in over 150 languages. Buy $10, get $5 off your first lesson using my exclusive promo code Sakura. Discount is only available for the first 50 users. Click through the link below in the description to start your language learning journey. Yutaka Ozaki was born in Setagaya, a ward within Tokyo, on November 29th of 1965. He had one older brother named Yasushi. Ozaki was riddled with health issues as a small child and was quite sickly, once being hospitalized for severe bronchitis before once again requiring hospitalization for intestinal torsion, a condition that results from intestines becoming unnaturally twisted and tangled. Ozaki did begin learning martial arts as a small child at only 5 or 6, though this hobby did not last. Instead, he was taken by the piano and began learning it in 1975 at 10 years old. Ozaki also began learning guitar when his older brother brought one home one day and just lost interest in it, thus being inherited by Ozaki. That same year, in 1975, he wrote his very first poem, a poem that would kickstart his passion in songwriting. At this age, Ozaki dedicated the entirety of his time to music and had a distinct lack of interest in school. He would often leave home pretending to go to class before returning home an hour later to write and play music. There was supposedly even a 6-month period where he did not attend a single class. This changed when Ozaki chose to go to a school within the Nerima ward of Tokyo. In 1978, Ozaki performed his first original song at his middle school's culture festival. Referred to in Japan as bunkasai, culture festivals are a huge event in Japanese schools and are open to the public. Anyone from family to students wanting to attend the school in the future will attend, and they showcase the talents and artistic achievements of their students. With that said, a culture festival was an opportune place for Ozaki to present his talent. Yutaka Ozaki's musical talent continued to expand beyond this point. It was in high school when he began playing at live houses throughout Tokyo as an amateur performer. Ozaki's early music at this time had heavy folk influence, though he would later find influence in Western artists like Bruce Springsteen, Jackson Browne, and Billy Joel. As Ozaki's focus on music rose, his interest in school waned once more. Ozaki became somewhat of a delinquent and was in trouble on a regular basis. This included smoking, getting drunk in Shibuya, and being involved in fights. He was even in a motorcycle accident at one point that left him suspended. Ozaki was kind of the textbook example of an 80s high school delinquent, and his various misadventures fueled the setting and mood of his music. And mind you, this wasn't unusual, as delinquency and petty crime was at an all-time high in 80s Japan. High school delinquents were pretty common. Ozaki was a hard worker though, regardless of what he enjoyed in his free time, having worked as both a paperboy and waiter during this time. That all changed when Ozaki was discovered by a producer named Akira Shudo while playing one night when he was only 17 years old. This was in his sophomore year of high school. Upon being discovered by Shudo, Ozaki dropped out of high school and decided to pursue a career in music. Ozaki was quickly signed to CBS Sony and released his first album, 17 Sai no Chizu, or 17's Map. Many tracks were based on his experience as a, 17-year-old, including Sotsugo or Graduation, one of his best-known songs. The themes of rebellion and lack of faith in society featured in 17 Sai no Chizu were met with controversy as well as a movement among young people at the time. Ozaki released his third album, Kowareta Tobira Kara, or Through the Broken Door, in 1985 at only 19 years old. With even more music that expressed the longing for love, the yearning to see our dreams come true, and the angst associated with navigating society and life. Following a somewhat long bout of writer's block and a break from music in America, Ozaki released his fourth album 3 years later in 1988. It was around this time that he married a woman named Shigemi, a woman who worked a normal 9-to-5 job and was not in the entertainment industry. This news caused quite a bit of a stir at the time for that reason. By 1990, reaching his mid-20s, Ozaki's priorities and motivation began to shift. Who was once a rebellious teen was now a husband and new father. In 1989, Shigemi gave birth to Ozaki's son, Hiroya Ozaki. His fifth studio album was titled Tanjo, or Birth, and lacked the angst Ozaki was associated with up until that point. Also, as a side note, this album was released by Moon Records, a label owned by Tatsuro Yamashita and Maria Takeuchi, respectively the king and queen of city pop. One final album would be released in May of 1992, one that was praised for returning to Ozaki's defiant roots. Unfortunately, the release of this album would be posthumous. This brings us to a month prior, in April of 1992. It was in the early morning of April 25th that a person was walking through a residential area of Senju Kawaramachi in Adachi, Tokyo. This person was the wife of a landlord within the area. She was walking through the front garden of one of her properties when she was alerted to a troubling sight. A man wearing no clothing, lying on the ground. The most disturbing element of all of this was the man was covered in bruises and scuffs, as if he was beaten up. The woman, fearing the worst, approached this man. He was conscious, but only barely, as he was very drunk. Onlookers recalled the man slurring and rambling incoherently, at one point spilling the contents of their bag on the ground. The woman promptly rushed to call an ambulance. At this time, she had no idea the man she had just helped was Yutaka Ozaki. He would have been hard to recognize. At 5 a.m. that very same morning, Ozaki was admitted to a hospital in the nearby Sumida ward. It was at this point that Ozaki was more coherent and explained that he was trying to get to his home, later revealed to only be 500 meters away from where he was found, and that all he wanted was to just go home. Ozaki felt he didn't need treatment, that he was fine and just wanted to sleep it off. Ozaki's doctor disagreed, however, and felt that Ozaki should definitely stay, that a specialist should look at Ozaki and ensure there weren't any underlying issues that needed to be addressed. Ozaki vehemently disagreed and continued to demand that he be discharged despite still being drunk and in very poor shape. Eventually, upon becoming even more forceful and adamant, the hospital staff was left with no choice. After ensuring his pulse and body temperature readings were normal, they contacted Ozaki's wife Shigemi to come pick him up. She arrived with Yasushi, Ozaki's brother, and the two took Ozaki home. Upon arriving, Shigemi recalls Ozaki laying down to rest and sleeping soundly. Ozaki's family remained near him, confirming he was in a deep sleep and taking steady breaths. Hours later, at around 11 a.m., Shigemi noticed that Ozaki had stopped breathing. She immediately called an ambulance. Ozaki was rushed to another hospital, and the staff had discovered Ozaki was experiencing cardiopulmonary arrest. They quickly attempted to treat and resuscitate him. None of these attempts were successful. Yutaka Ozaki passed away at 12:06 p.m. at age 26. Cause of death was officially declared as pulmonary edema, or an accumulation of fluids within the lungs. Ozaki's death was looked into at great lengths following this, and the autopsy claimed that there was no foul play. The public, upon hearing of the shape Ozaki was found in, did not agree with this. These feelings were only magnified when photos of Ozaki in the hospital had surfaced and people saw the shape he was in. A petition was started with the help of Ozaki's father. Over 100,000 signatures were received in hopes that Ozaki's cause of death would be reevaluated. Despite the public outcry, this official ruling remained and was never revised. What was found in the toxicology report was cited as the conclusion in this decision by officials. It was declared that methamphetamine had been found in Ozaki's system as well as alcohol. With the release of this information, it was simply expected that the dots would connect and what happened to Ozaki would be universally understood and resolved. That being under the influence like this caused Ozaki to lack coordination and end up in the rough shape he was in simply because he was so out of it. The public outcry remained, and people still did not agree with the official findings. So, the occurrences of that April night are basically narrowed down to two commonly suggested scenarios. One, that Ozaki got drunk, high, and at some point in a bar fight. Ozaki was no stranger to scandal. During the 1980s, he was caught with stimulants multiple times. He also was known to have quite a few skirmishes in his high school days. His rebellious image was very well known, and that was not surprising. The other common theory, however, is that Ozaki was murdered. Some even feel Ozaki's drink may have been laced at some point during his time out drinking, and that would explain why he was so out of it and unable to speak or walk when he was found in that garden. As far as who would want to do this to Ozaki, who knows? There's been plenty of theories, but nothing substantial. Following this ordeal, Shigemi and Hiroya left Japan and moved to Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. Wishing to live life and raise her son away from all the press and reminders of her husband's tragic passing, Hiroya is now all grown up and now a musical artist himself. He's very talented and his music is pretty good. I definitely recommend it. I personally think his father would be nothing short of proud of his son and how much he has accomplished. Today, Ozaki remains a beloved musical artist. His 1983 song I Love You, as well as his 1992 release Oh My Little Girl, have been covered by Japan's most talented artists. This includes Hikaru Utada, Akira Nakamori, Ryuichi Kawamura, and the band Kobukuro. There's a famous plaque located on the bridge near Shibuya Cross Tower in Tokyo that is dedicated to Ozaki's memory. This is an iconic location referenced in songs that Ozaki visited frequently in his teens. Many fans visit here to pay their respects, and if anyone is ever in the area, I very much encourage visiting it and paying your respects as well. While the man behind the music is no longer with us, his music still plays throughout Japan and is greatly cherished and loved. That much remains clear. And it is once again Patreon time to thank my beautiful, immaculate, wonderful, awesome, great Patreons who support me in the work I do and enjoy the work I do, which I mean, that just makes me so happy. Just anyone who just enjoys what I make here on YouTube is amazing. Anyways, a huge thank you to Dakota May, Mothic Perm, Adela Lilith, 322-32232, Theron Skymere, Chumpkins, Jaded Elf, Jolie Medea, Armando Duran, Aurora Marasso, Ella S, Lena SD98, Gur Elad, Ellie L, Nikki, Flo Ami, Pada, Ashley Rigby, Meek, Nicholas Babinu, Mercedes Slaughter, Beebles32, Sidnep, Eli Roca, Life on Mars, Greedy Gut 78, Lilia Grasso, Middle Mario 64, Courtney Von Schriltz, Misao, Dr. Money $69, Nicole Turkowski, Alice Rose, Akali, Anna, Sophia Gillespie, Megan Nicole, Vonnie, Mike Master, Judy 18, Felix Gonzalez, Alan Achondo, Anish Gloom, Momo Buns, Mr. Anderson, Michiru Oji, Otonya, Angel Pena, Elio, Brandon Tran, Andrew Valencia, Eels, Dude Bro, Jolliser Plays, Beastmen Manor, Merotici, Aurora Phoenix, Lauren Marcello, Lilycat, Merlin Caliber, C. Chameleon, John 187 or Gene 187, Digital Dubs, Omar Ruelas, Coffee Red Fox, Raz Cohen, Shivam Vashi, Daniel Barrientos, Pan Fried Life Jacket Awareness, Nicholas Allen, Stagio VGM, Adam Mitchell, Joka, Anegra J. Reese, Donut Brewitt, Leon X8, Teofil Zeta, Christopher Valencia, Hilary, Erica, Justin Fuda, Papaskatag, Quetzalcoatl FC, Andrew LaPena, VHS Vitch, Airfire, Grand Tactician, Good with a Stain, Kevin, Jojo, Orlon the Dog, Soko, Jody Kirk, and Be Shonen Knife.